we have to create the right vibe, you know, the energy, and everybody at the organization has to feel so privileged to be here. It's no other way.
Thanks for listening to the Purely Arsenal podcast. Please follow us on Twitter at Purely Arsenal FP for all the latest Arsenal podcasts.
Welcome to another edition of a Purely Arsenal sit-down podcast. It's been a while, my apologies. We're back with a bang. 4-0 win away at Ellen Road against Leeds United, and I'm here to discuss it with Neil Shah. Big weekend, Neil. How are you?
Yeah. Feeling better after that awful weekend against Man U. So, yes, we're back on it again, Jack. Thank goodness. So, looking forward to this week and see what happens from our endeavours.
Yeah, the gap is back to 6 points. Our goal difference, I think, I should have the table in front of me, is about +3 over City. So not, hugely significant now. But I think, there was a few weeks ago as well, beyond the points, where City had kind of ran away a little bit on the goal difference because they'd had a couple of big wins and things like that. This was before, maybe a month or so ago. So that's really good and positive on our end. And we needed it. Really poor weekend for us last weekend, losing at home to United. Poor performance as well. We needed a response. Neil, just before we get into the game, a couple of things to talk about. I think it's fair to say we did drop Odegaard. I mean, I don't think it's rotation. I mean, because he was rotated midweek, I believe, against Kyra, or he didn't play the full game. I'm trying to remember the full team there. No, he was rotated because Havertz started in his position, and he decided to do that again. So as they didn't get a start, played Havertz again as a sort of almost like a old school 4-4-2 with Havertz working off as a second striker off Gyökeres. Very different sort of number 10 positionally. And the other thing that we should probably discuss, Neil, is we also lost Bukayo Saka in a warm-up, which was very frustrating. We don't really know the extent of it. It looks like a hip issue from Mikel Arteta's comments. Maybe we can take that a little optimistically. But we know with Arsenal, any muscle strain is probably a month. So at this point, yeah, it's very frustrating. We've also lost Mikel Merino, possibly for the season. It sounds like, I don't even know where that injury occurred against Manchester United. I don't remember anything off the top of my head. Maybe you do. So just before we get into the game, what were your thoughts on Odegaard being dropped? I think justified. I actually think it's a positive for team and player. And on the two injuries, of course, because we had a fully fit squad for about 10 minutes going into the Leeds game. So I mean, we should probably be grateful for that, I guess. So what are your thoughts on all that?
Oh gosh, the injuries. Yeah, I mean, I don't know what to say, Jack. We are certainly cursed. Just for a second, we were almost back to a full squad, and we're thinking, "Wow, this is perfect timing, right towards the run-in for the season. Perfect. We've got an amazing opportunity to have a great depth of, different players to select from, maybe for rest and rotation, and also tactically as well. And then this happens." I don't know what to say. Look, Saka's a huge loss. We don't know, as you said, we don't know for how long. Hopefully, it will be sooner rather than later. But Merino is also significant, Jack, because he's one of those players where, he may not always be the first on everyone's mind, but he certainly has come in and stepped in when needed, and really helped contribute, especially with some important goals. And I think he is that kind of player that can finish. Certainly in the box, he can finish, and we might miss that. Trossard might be the best all-round finisher, especially from outside the box. But I think Marino's got that, fox in the box finishing style. Now I'm hoping with Gyökeres getting 6 goals recently, I don't know, in the last few games, his confidence might be going up ever so slightly, and he might now be that person that can do that. And finish the attacks and whatnot. But Merino, I think, is a huge loss as well as Saka. So I don't know where that injuries come from. It's a bone issue. I think I'm fearing the rest of the season, Jack, for that. I mean, I'm not expecting that's your.
Well, it's the sorry to interrupt. It's the surgery thing that's the concern. I mean, if it said foot fracture, but now they're saying surgery, and I believe it's the metatarsal. That I think that's you're kind of talking a minimum 3 months there, and I think you're talking the season basically.
Okay.
Hopefully he comes back to the tail end, and we've got some really big things for him to participate in, but really at this point you kind of disregard it, but which is so frustrating, but and I agree with you entirely. I think he's the best finisher we've got, and I don't necessarily think he'd start a lot of games if everyone's fit, but he'd play almost every one of them. That's the thing about it. And he's a really trusted person under Mikel Arteta. The only sort of saving grace is, Kai Havertz has been returning, and I think they have similar roles in the sense of positionally. They're very different players, but no, you're spot on. What were your thoughts on the Odegaard drop-in? I mean, we felt it was justified, yeah?
I think so. I think that follows on nicely. So you mentioned Kai there. Which game was it? Was it against Man U, where he's I don't know what it is with him, and I feel the same with Saka as well, Jack. To be fair, I think they both dropped to level that we've been used to, and I just feel with Odegaard that he's starting to take a little bit too long on the ball, and I think he slows the game down when he gets the ball. I really do believe that. I know, look, he's a fantastic player, and he showed it again yesterday. The two of the goals he was involved in. I'm not suggesting for a minute that he's gone that far down that he's literally unplayable. Of course, I'm not suggesting it. My personal opinion is this, Jack, and I know some people are not going to agree with me. I think the captain's armband should be moved away from him. I think personally that will improve him as a player again. I do believe that. I'm not suggesting we do it in a almost like putting him down way. I think it'll improve him. I think Rice, Gabriel are two great contenders for it. It's just an opinion. It's not whether
you do that now, would you, or would you?
I don't know if I'd do it now, but I think it's definitely food for thought. Maybe in the summer. That's what I'm suggesting. Yeah. In terms of his play, I think it is justified. I saw how different we were with the game that Kai started, wasn't it? Where we played really well, but in terms of pace, at least. I think Kai made a difference in terms of pace and how we were moving. It was in the Champions League, wasn't it? I think the first half. Now, look, I know you can't compare. It's a different dynamic with them being maybe the weaker team in the Champions League group. The Premiership is a different ball game anyway. I know, I get all that, but I just felt that our movement was just more speedy and more decisive. And then when he came on in the second half, again, we went back almost to a more deliberate and slow pace. And I think we lost that momentum. So I think it was the right choice, Jack, for me. I don't think he's been the player he has. And maybe it's the kick in the rear end that he needs to say, right, you're not even undroppable. And the other big thing is, I don't recall previous captains being substituted as much as he is. He's substituted so often. I don't think that's a good look.
Which is a new thing, isn't it? Almost, this season anyway.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I agree with that. That's where I think action speak. He loves Odegaard, obviously, but you don't take your captain off on the 55th minute. In multiple games. That means you're not actually liking what you're seeing from him, and that's why I think all of us were like, it's on the cards here. There's going to be a change coming, and it doesn't have to be a permanent change, and it doesn't have to be a negative thing for Odegaard. I think I said that. Well, we all said that sort of before the game. We said this can really, maybe every now and then a player needs, a couple of weeks just sitting on the bench, just watching, and thinking, well, why am I sitting here, and what could I be doing differently? Because I don't think any of us are questioning the quality of Martin Odegaard. Like, we know how good he can be. We're also not questioning, what he's done over previous seasons. He's been fantastic for Arsenal. So, but clearly he's not playing as well or anywhere near as well as what we know he can do, and he's playing in a very different way, much deeper, like you said, far too many touches, not in the positions that a sort of a traditional right 8 or number 10 picks up in an Arteta-like system. I think I was not surprised that he used Kai Havertz. I think if Mikel Merino had been fit, it could have well been him as well in that position over Eze. You just know he's a bit more pragmatic. He would away from home, he's going to go for a bit more physical player in that position. We know Havertz has played that position before when Odegaard was injured previously last season, so it made sense. But in terms of this game, Neil, in the first half, Leeds been really positive at home. I mean, they beat them Chelsea at home. I think they came back from 2-0 down to draw with Liverpool at home and could have won it. They drew Man United at home. So I went into this game thinking this is going to be a really, really tough game. I'm sure we all did. And we really handled them really well. And what I was really encouraged about was, I don't know if you remember, I think it was 2 years ago that Leeds were in the Premier League and we went there, I think we won 1-0, but it was such a poor performance. They had so many chances. And obviously, different Leeds. I think that was a Leeds that played, very high press Leeds. It was a different team. I forget the coach that they had back then, but they've been a very good force, and if they're going to stay in this league, it's going to be because of their home form. And I thought we nullified them in the first half really well. And I think that Havertz and probably that Havertz in the 10 and sort of the physical nature of our performance and the way we set up, being a bit more sort of dual winning, if you like, really was a clever way to go about it. One of the real positives, Neil, from the first half was Noni Madueke, though. Goal and assists eventually given. We'll get into that. But when you lose Saka, who I don't, again, like you said, I think he's almost in that Odegaard bracket where you we want more from you. But you're like, we need you to step up now, Madueke. We really need you to step up. And he's had a few iffy performances in the FA Cup and the and the Champions League since his sort of brace in Bruges, and you've been like, can we trust you? How much can we trust you? But this felt like, you've recognised the opportunity, maybe. I don't know. But I thought what was really good to see from him in this game is I thought he simplified his game. I thought, he didn't feel the need to beat 3 and 4 every time. And what he was really focused on was his final ball. And I thought his corners and his crosses, and if you want to touch on the first goal in a second, I thought they were really, really good. Not just the goals, they were, beyond that, they were really, really good. And he was unlucky to not get more assists from his corners. I thought they were just as good as Saka's. And it's not easy to do that. But yeah, really positive first 45 from him, Neil. And we need it, don't we? Because he's stepping up when a player's injured.
Oh, 100%. Look, I've always, I'm very much like Geek, as you know. I've liked him, I've defended him, and then I've obviously been taking on board on what you've been saying, and then I think it was last week we didn't do the podcast, but I think I said, yeah, you're right, Jack. I mean, his end product is so poor. It really is. He's great. He's very. I still believe he's been our most exciting forward. I truly believe that in terms of directness, and then doing the little. His movement with his feet and his tricks with his feet, he can really scare defenders. And by doing that, potentially, if we've got runners into the box, he can create that space for them, because the defenders have to be a little bit focused on what he's doing because he's so good at it and he's very strong. But yeah, you're right. His end product's been a bit lacking and a bit poor and not what we expect from a player of his quality. So you hit the nail on the head. I think he was more focused on doing a little bit less of all the trickery stuff, a bit like what Pepe used to do. It reminded me of Pepe a little bit. And his speed reminded me of Glenn Helder. Bless Glenn Helder. But I think he was a little bit less flamboyant there, still very, very tricky to deal with. But like you said, the end product, and it was telling, because that first goal, where the corner was delivered by him and then it was recycled, I think, by Rice for a second go, and he got hold of it. That was a very, very good delivery into the box. Zubamendi's header was great as well. He had to atone himself a little bit, didn't he, for the mistake he made against Man U. So I'm glad, and I think he really wanted that, and it showed on his face, Jack. So I'm really pleased for Zubamendi, who I still think is a great player, to be fair. And I think an important cog in this, hopefully, this successful team that we're potentially going to be. But I thought the cross was fantastic for Madueke. Really pleased for him. And I think he linked up really well with Timber down that right-hand side. The stuff that was going down on the right channel was down to a lot of what they were doing. And of course, if you don't mind, just to touch on it, the second goal, same thing. Great corner, great delivery. And the way the ball was going, like what you said, if the goalkeeper wasn't there, it would have gone straight in the net. So I don't know why it wasn't given as his goal in the first place. But I'm really glad that it has been changed and he's been given that. So goal and assist from Madueke, Jack. Hopefully that will really spur his confidence, or do his confidence good. And we need it. Like you said, Saka, we don't know how long. We so need it now.
Yeah, because I think it will start in midweek, and it's a real big test for him against Cucurella, because Cucurella's, he's a real, as much as I dislike him, he's a very good left back, really physical, really, he's dirty, he gets stuck in, and obviously being an ex-Chelsea player, there's a lot on it for him to sort of emotionally be in control. But I do think, he would have earned that start in midweek, and he'll get it, rightly so. And I find that second one really weird. Apparently it was basically overturned because he fought for it, and I'm like, what are you talking about? Fought for it? That's what I read today. I don't know if that's true, but I'm like, what? It's just common sense. That's what I was so irate about it. Like, even though it was 2-0 and I was super excited, I kept texting to you boys in the thread. I was like, what? That's not the rule. That's not. If the ball's going in the goal, it doesn't matter if the goalkeeper's gone and punched it in a different direction. The ball was going in anyway, so that first and foremost, that's the rule. I mean, that's been the rule for generations. I mean, I don't understand where this, where it's come from. And I think we've had a few of these actually this season. I can't actually particularly think of them, not as bad as this, but where own goals have been given. And obviously, I do think the narrative over Arsenal, the own goal thing, I wonder if that played into. I hope it didn't, but I wonder if that played into it a little bit. But look, first goal and assist for him in a year in the Premier League. Of course, those stats need to be better. But I'm not going to lie. I think Saka's need to be a lot better too. He's had a few this season, but a lot of them, from the penalty spot and things like that. Our output from that position has just not been good enough anyway. And that's something you look at Bukayo Saka more than Madueke, because he's been our starter for the majority of the season. So really positive for him. I mean, what's good about Madueke being in this team is I kind of prefer him from the start than I do coming on the bench, because I think there's still a part of Mikel Arteta that doesn't fully trust him off the ball. And I think a lot of the times he's bringing players on, it's for their off the ball stuff, especially if the game state's right and you're trying to sort of hold a lead or whatever it might be. So I feel like when you start him, it's almost sort of a much better platform for him, because it's like, okay, we're starting on the front foot, we know we need to go and score here, let's give it to you. And I do think he has a lot of attributes that are more positive than Saka's this season in terms of his dribbling ability. He's far scarier for a fullback, in terms of it's just his output, and his output has been so frustrating, and that's where Saka's so sort of intelligent. He always makes the right pass at the right time, he always crosses efficiently, and that's where I think Madueke kind of took a leaf out of Saka's book in this game. I mean, that first cross, that's more, I'd expect Madueke to take that on and start dribbling. And he didn't. He just got it out his feet. He saw three runners into the box, and he just whipped it in. Sometimes it's just do the simple thing, isn't it? It's just do the simple thing, And sometimes I think Madueke thinks he has to do everything, and I'm like, you've done the hard part. Just lay it off to put the person 5 yards next to you, kind of thing. And what I liked about this game is there was points where he was doing that. He was just laying it off and going again. He didn't always feel he had to beat his man, and you don't always have to beat your man, because he's actually hugely talented in that aspect. He can beat a man really easily. So I was actually quite encouraged by the maturity of his performance, if anything. And obviously it's a very small sample size, but I think if he can continue in that vein, he can actually challenge in that position. I mean, it's crazy to say it, but he genuinely can, because I don't think Saka's, just like Odegaard, I don't think he's been good enough this season in that position for me. And although he's still the player we look to, and he's still the attacker I think we look to largely in big games and things like that, he's dropped off a lot from the Saka we knew a year and a half ago, I think, pre hamstring injury. And we can discuss why we think the reasons are, but anyway, I feel really positive from Madueke. And we didn't create a lot in that first half, Neil. I think we only created like 0.2 XG, but we took our chances, and they didn't have anything. They didn't have a thing. I don't remember them even getting near our goal, to be honest, and that was really positive because we quieted the crowd down.
I think the only opportunity I remember is when I don't know who it was, went in on Gikaris, a really crunching tackle, and he had a shot, and it just kind of went wide. I don't even remember that. I think that was the only one that I recall. But apart from
vaguely,
that,
you're right. I mean, I
it was very early on in the first half, but that was pretty much it. Yeah. So we've done really well. I think we were just like pushing them back all throughout the first half, just pushing them back, and corners and goal threats. It was a really good performance, I thought, in the first half. Considering it's Leeds away.
Yeah. The other thing is obviously the Calvert-Lewin incident. What are your thoughts on that? Oh, sorry.
Are we talking about the tackle?
Yeah, the tackle. Yeah, I thought he was very lucky.
Tackle.
I mean, he didn't get a yellow card at all, and I think it's
I think that's
red.
disgraceful.
Yeah.
I think that's disgraceful. His foot is high, studs are high, and it's definitely contacted him in a. It brings back horrible memories of Eduardo and all sorts. Ramsey, Diaby. I saw the replay and I thought, oh my God, and how. And also it reminds me of as early as or recently as the game against Man City. Who was the idiot that was it fouled Rice twice in the space of 10 seconds? Yes,
Rice and then nothing,
and nothing happened. Nothing happened.
That was a disgrace.
So yeah. I mean, this wasn't far off, Jack. I mean, how can you not be given a yellow? I was obviously I didn't get a chance to watch the game live, but I was hearing from so many people that even some of the commentators were saying that he's very, very lucky not to even get a yellow there. How that can be missed and not given, that was disgraceful, because that could have been a really serious injury. It's just disgusting, Jack. And I'm glad, actually, this season, I don't know if you agree, we've done exactly what you wanted. You wanted us to let the football do the talking and rise above all these stupid decisions that we've been getting for so many years, and also not give the referee excuses for cards for us so much. We've been doing that, but something like this, surely, this is disgusting. And I was really peed off, to be honest. I don't know what your thoughts are, but
no, I was, and I was worried it was going to come back to bite us, like Calvert-Lewin was going to score or something like that. What was the sort of the blessing of it was he was massively at fault for the corner. He gets in the goalkeeper's way almost, and Gabriel and Saliba just had him in they were just man-handled him, to the point where they'd subbed him off, I think, by the 60th minute. And he was moaning and complaining about silly stuff. I was like, you were lucky to be on the pitch, to be honest. I thought the ref was quite poor in this game. I thought at 2-0 especially, I felt he was trying to keep Leeds in the game. Like, there was a lot of decisions he was giving their way that I was just like, there's just weird ones. Like every 50-50 he was just giving them as a foul, and I found it very, very strange. At that point, it just felt like one of those where he's trying to make a game of it when there wasn't a game to be had, because I felt we were really dominant, really. And it was weird. It felt like we went out to sort of nullify the physicality in the first half, and then by the way he used the subs, and this is why I really liked the subs that we had the ability to be able to call upon, and we'll get to the subs in a second, but they were like very, very technical players, the Odegaards, the Jesuses, Eze's, and it almost feels like it's really nice to be able to up your technical level when players are tiring, and you can't. We haven't always been able to do that this season, and that's why I said back as well, when there's not a lot of players that you look to and go, they're a really good bench option. Like Trossard's, we know he's a great bench option, so if he's on the bench, you're like, oh gosh, it would be great off the bench, but Odegaard, I go back to even when he was on loan, I always remember him being a really good bench option. Like, if he came off the bench, it was like, even if it was like League Cup or something, he would always be really positive from the bench. So I was like, it's no drama, just sit him. He'll be, hopefully he gets a little bit of anger in him, and he'll start to play. And it was almost like as soon as he came on, you noticed his technical quality way more than you do ever when he starts, because the physical level had dropped off from the other team. Obviously being 2 goals up made a big difference, but still, and then obviously for the third goal, Neil, and I think this is where we should talk about Gyökeres, because he's had a good month. I think he scored 4 goals this month. There's no doubt he's had a good month. I thought he was. I'm going to be honest. I thought he was dreadful in the first half. I thought some of his hold-up play, some of his link-up play was really poor in the first half. I mean, I was calling it out on the text. I am very critical of Victor Gyökeres, simply because I think he's quite a limited footballer, and that bugs me a little bit, because I didn't recognise that quite as much until we arrived at Arsenal. But I tell you what, first thing is Martinelli does fantastic to get onto the through ball from Odegaard. I think it is. He does brilliant. We bring him on in the right wing, because obviously we've not got a right winger, and I don't always love Martinelli out there, but he does brilliant. Gets onto his weaker foot. It's a brilliant cross. But I look at that Gyökeres goal, and I think that's the sort of goal that we bought you for, because I don't think we've got many people in the squad that can score a scrappy sort of 6-yard volley from, do you know what I mean? And I thought it was a good holding off a defender, and I actually think this was probably one of the moments where I've been most excited about Gyökeres. I was like, that is exactly what I want you for. Do you know what I mean? Out of the whole season. And it was probably not something that maybe other people look to, but I thought it was a brilliant striker's goal now.
Yeah, just want to say that I think you're spot on about what you just said a bit earlier, in terms of, I think, and this is what was lacking this season for me, the first time, Jack, in these previous games where we had the one lost and was it 3 draws or 2 draws? Can't remember. Something like that, wasn't it? It was a bit of a poor run.
Yeah.
And it's the first time, Jack, that I felt that one thing that we had improved on, which we hadn't had for so long, was the physical aspect of our game. And I thought that all of a sudden, in those few games where we dropped points, I felt that we had started losing that physical battle. I was saying earlier that I felt that we'd become the bullies and not the bullied. And all of a sudden against Leeds, I think it was a bit of a wake-up call. You're absolutely right. We were so physical against a team that would probably do it to other teams, especially at their home ground. I'm so glad that I saw that. And then, what you said about then being able to then change that, bring on the technical players, it's such a bonus for us. But for me, Odegaard was involved in that goal, wasn't he? And I mean, I think, did he lay off to Martinelli? I can't quite recall how it was, but
yeah, he did.
Yeah, he did. And what I liked, I think that's the best I've seen Martinelli on the right. I don't know about you. It's got to be up there as one of his best performances. He was superb. I think the defender tried to jump tackle him, didn't he? It didn't work. He failed at that miserably. But Martinelli's ball in was still so sweet to Gyökeres. I've got to start saying his name right one day. I'll promise you I will before the end of the season. But the ball was beautiful. I don't know if you remember the way it's just almost laid on a plate. But he had done some really good holding up play. He was almost like holding the defender back, with his back to him, wasn't he? And you're right, I think that is what you wanted from him. That is exactly what you wanted. It wasn't the cleanest of finishes. I think it came off his shin, didn't it?
Yeah.
But it was still a goal that, you would want him to score, especially after, did he not have an opportunity a few minutes before where literally he should have done a lot better?
Yeah,
it was almost a one-on-one chance, wasn't it? Do you expect him, a player of his capability, to put that in the net or hit it first time into the net? And he didn't. He kind of dilly-dallied with it, and he lost it, didn't he? So I'm glad that went in, and 3-0. That was it. That was game over for me. They were not going to, even Leeds were not going to come back from us, and even we weren't going to get complacent to lose a lead like that. So really pleased for Martinelli, doing well on the right hand side, and really pleased for Gyökeres as well.
Yeah, because I was really annoyed with that chance because it was a chance to wrap up the game earlier. Where that was one thing. And I think that's something we've seen from Gyökeres a few times this season. Where he's Nottingham Forest away, it was a little bit harder, but again should be getting his shot off before Murillo gets back to him. I remember one away at Port Vale, actually, where he was put through by Max Dowman, and it was very similar. And I think, there's no excuse there when you're away at Port Vale to not. And he just has this sort of knack for not getting his shot away early enough. And again, that's frustrating because that is kind of something you expect him to do. Like, get your shot off early. Get it off, and don't take the extra touch. And kind of stuff when you've watched him, you're like, that's what he does do. In previous clubs. So that was frustrating. You've got to be finishing that. And then he gets his goal. We take him off, and he played midweek, so absolutely no drama there. Brilliant. And then Jesus comes on, and he puts in a brilliant performance as well. And do you know what? I mean, Jesus' performances this season have largely been better from the bench. Cameos, which is interesting as well. I think when he started, it's been, in fairness, I think he's only had 3 starts, so it might be a bit harsh on him, but he's definitely had his better performances from the bench. But his goal is the pick of the bunch, and I think he has the most shots in the game. He has the most shots on target in the game. To be fair, if I'm going to be fair, he missed a sitter like Gyökeres as well. But he was so, for 11 touches of the ball, he was so, effective. And there, but that's just a Jesus goal. That's where I kind of err towards those types of play. Just such good technical quality. But again, Odegaard's involved. I think Calafiori's involved. It's a great move. It's a really good technical goal. It's kind of nice to throw that down the throats of the own goal and set piece. Driven media nonsense, which is really nice to see. But it's a fantastic, technical goal by Jesus, isn't it?
Yeah, it was nice that was actually derived from the other side, the left-hand side. And you're right, it was Calafiori, and then Odegaard. That was a great pass by him. So this is what he's brilliant at, the way he can orchestrate and just cut defences apart. Odegaard, that's what we want from you. That's what we know you can do. That's your brand almost. And you're right, when he was on loan, That's what he was doing. This is exactly him. Do that. Go back to that Odegaard. That's the one we want to see. But Jesus, I mean, he had a couple of chances before, but one which I don't think was his fault. I think it was a good save by the keeper. Maybe he should have headed it a little bit off or away from him, but that was a good save by the keeper, to be fair. I think the one before that, maybe he could have done better, but the header, I mean, that was a good delivery. I can't remember who delivered that.
Timber, yeah.
Ah, there you go. So, yeah, Timber is a good, another class player, isn't he? But the Jesus' goal, I don't know, it kind of a little bit, I know it's not the same, but a little bit Bergkamp-esque, the one he scored against Newcastle with the turn. But he's not the biggest player, is he? But he was very strong there, I thought. He had, 2 or 3 defenders around him. And he just kept the ball, did the turn, and then he still managed to find the corner of the net. Brilliant. But you're right, his cameo appearances have been superb for me. He's been so good. And it's just another little weapon in our army, especially when I thought at the start of the season I wouldn't see him again in an Arsenal shirt. Honestly, I didn't think I would.
Same.
And he's almost like a bonus kind of substitute that we've got. And I think he's going to play a bit of a part in our rest of the season for us. I really do think that, Jack. I think he's going to, like we were talking about Marino, and we're going to miss his important goals. I think if we play Jesus in this fashion, in the cameo sense, I think he's going to score some important goals for us. And he needs to do it because obviously he wants to play, for Brazil in the cup. So I think that's in a weird way that's worked in our favour, because he's want to do the best he can to highlight his ability. But 4-0, what a result that Leeds. Amazing. Just shut everyone up as well. So well needed, especially the way the other results went for us at the weekend. You've got to take advantage of it, Jack, though. We've got to take advantage of it.
We'll talk about that a little bit. So brilliant performance, fantastic result. Players off the bench coming on doing fantastic. Starters doing terrifically well. Only downer is obviously the Saka injury, and of course I find out later the Marino injury. But again, I do think that he was moaning, wasn't he, before the game, Arteta, about the squads not being big enough. They've got to switch it to the Champions League format. And I found that a very interesting comment, because it was just the first time that we'd had our fully fit squad. And I did look at those comments and think, well, Miguel, it's very coincidental that you're saying it now. Well, because, you've not been saying that really all season, because we've barely had any players. But suddenly now you've realised everyone's fit, and you've got 3 too many. And a big discussion point for me was, who are the 3 that we're going to leave out? So the only positive, and it's not directly related to Marino's injury, because it's a bad thing, there's no doubt about it, but is it gives him a little bit more clarity in the fact that he doesn't have to drop out 3 big name stars every game. He dropped out Lewis Skelly, Norgard and Marino from this one. Marino's was because of injury. But if it wasn't Marino, which I don't think it would have been, who would it have been? Eze? Genuinely, if you look at the bench, it would have been like an Eze or Madueke or someone like that. Maybe Madueke, and he would have even started. Genuinely, it would have been there. So the only good thing about that, if we can keep everyone fit, which is another factor, is it maybe gives a little bit of clarity there. I get the sense that he knows that he's got a slightly big squad and he wants to include them all, and I understand where he's coming from, but I do think we're sitting on a slightly bigger squad than we're used to. So hopefully the likes of Eze and the likes of Jesus can benefit from it and provide that positive stuff. Jesus it's brilliant from Jesus. It's really good. Maybe I definitely am really liking this, him coming off the bench for sort of 20-minute cameo, because again, not very high technical security player, can play wide as well. I think there's a lot of minutes there from him for the bench, which I'm just so stunned that I'm saying that, and I think it's a good thing though, because he's come back and he looks fit, and that's really positive. I mean, what were your thoughts, Neil, on the results this weekend? I mean, even after last weekend's massive disappointment of going from 7 points to 4 points, I don't think in our wildest dreams this weekend we could have thought that both teams near us would have then gone ahead and dropped points, and us having a convincing win like that. That's a real positive, and you know what's really sort of poetic justice in it is that Spurs, that draw doesn't do anything for them whatsoever. So it's like they came back and it's like the draw doesn't do nothing for you at all, but it benefits us hugely. So just thanks a lot, and they deserve every bit of that, because
of course.
So I just wondered what your thoughts. I don't know if you got to watch those games, but I got to enjoy a little bit of those games this morning, and it feels quite a big thing, but obviously a long way to go.
Yeah, I watched a little bit. I think the tail end of the Spurs Manchester City games, I was just hoping for, please don't ever tell anyone, shh. But I was hoping that Spurs would hold on. I'll never say that. Never want to support them for anything in any circumstance. But to be fair, if it helps us, then yes, of course, I'm going to have to reluctantly get behind them. But yeah, I mean, I'm just so pleased when they were 2-0 down like you. I was like, oh God, yeah, they're just going to do this, aren't they? They're not going to care. They're not going to care. And what does that say about their club? Because apparently some fans were booing when they scored. Is that correct? I mean, if that's the case, Jack, I mean, what kind of club are they? They're still, doesn't matter where they are. I would never, ever in my wildest dreams boo our club. Boo. For whatever. You know, fans are paying to be at these games or investing time in them in whatever fashion. And then you sit there hoping they lose. I don't get that. It doesn't make any sense to me. So it just sums their fan base up and their club as a whole. But they did us a favour. And we've restored that cushion, two-game cushion effectively. And I think we've got to just take advantage of that. But yeah, really pleased that the results went. And Villa, yeah, I was quite shocked at that one as well. I never thought Spurs would get anything. I thought Villa would go ahead because they've had their ups and downs, but they're up there, aren't they? They're keeping kind of on our heels. And I was surprised at that one result too, to be fair. But look, it's all fallen beautifully into our favour. We've just got to make sure that we get another result in this weekend following the cup game. So fingers crossed.
Yeah, Pep losing it. Rodri crying about the ref. Long may that continue. Long may that continue. It's absolutely brilliant. I watched all of it again and again. I was just laughing the whole time. Absolutely fantastic. Absolutely fantastic.
I'm sure you're giving X a good, six.
Oh yeah, I'm scrolling on all the hate watches and everything. It's absolutely fantastic. They're just scum of the earth, aren't they?
We can always rely on you, Jack.
One thing I'll say just before I get your predictions then when we let you go is I don't like Leeds, but I like them being in the Premier League. But I'll tell you why I like them being in the Premier League. Well, of course it's much nicer when you've got a 9-0 aggregate scoreline against them, but they feel a little bit of a rivalry for the northern clubs, and they don't have anyone. Manchester, nobody dislikes Manchester. No one cares about them. Nobody cares. And it feels like Leeds, certainly with Man United, so it must be a little bit there with Man City, is they kind of think those are their derbies in the Premier League. And we have a derby every other week. And, I look at it and go, well, they haven't taken any points off City yet this season. But, I look at it and go, yeah, that's what I like. I like that. I like it. We need a bit of that. And there's not enough of that in this league. So yeah, keep
you know what?
In the league.
Well done. I've never ever that's a fantastic point. Never saw it like that.
Yeah,
brilliant point.
Yeah, absolutely.
Totally agree.
But obviously easy to say after a result like that, of course. So I'm not going to act like a big fan of theirs or anything like that. So I'm not going to be that not going to lie through my teeth too much. But Neil, what's your predictions? Big game midweek League Cup. We're 3-2 up, but Chelsea are on form, new manager, bounce and all that kind of stuff going on. It's a massive game for them. So what's your prediction for that? And then obviously we got Sunderland on Saturday. I think it's a 3:00 kickoff again.
Yeah, it is.
Home, and another massive weekend. So what are your predictions?
I think Chelsea, for me at the moment, I believe, in my opinion, are the most unpredictable team. They really are, and so they're dangerous. That makes them dangerous. 3-2, although I'll take that all day long. A result bringing it away from the away game. We've got the lead. I know we could have been 2 goals, but we still got the lead. So they're going to have to go for it. There's no choice. They have to go for it. Others are out of the cup. So I think that may help us. We're at home, thankfully. It's going to be tough. It's going to be unpredictable from them, but I think we've got enough. I think we've got enough to finish the game off. In terms of prediction, cup games are very, very difficult. I mean, any game is, but especially something like this, where they're going to be fighting. I'm going to go 2-0. I'm just going to go 2-0.
Wow.
Yeah, I think I'm going to go 2-0. It's going to be edgy, but it's going to be a typical cup game, a derby again. Of course. But I'm going 2-0 and I'm going to go for... I'm going to go Kai Havertz.
You think he'll start him, do you?
I don't know if he'll start him, but I think he'll score one of the goals. That's just my opinion.
Yeah.
I don't care who it is, to be fair. And I'm actually I'm at the game, so yeah, I'll try and bring us.
Oh, you are? Brilliant.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, in a way, I'm not looking forward to it. It's so cold and wet at the moment, and it's dark and miserable. Yeah,
it's 85 over here, and I'm just as annoyed with it. So believe it or not,
I'd rather take that, Jack.
I'm sure. I'll try to remember that. Yeah.
No, but yeah, I think it'll be 2-0, and I think Kai Havertz might get on the scoring sheet.
And what's your prediction for Sunderland game as well?
Oh God, yeah. No, that one I think Sunderland. I think they're tricky as well. You can never underestimate them, but we have got to make amends for losing at home to Man United, and I think getting their result against Leeds will buoy the boys on. I'm going for 3-0, and I'm going to go Madueke 3-0.
Like it. I'll go. Midweek, I'll go 2-1 Arsenal. I'll go Odegaard, 2-1 Arsenal, Odegaard. Mm-hmm. And then, Sunderland, I'll go 3-1 Arsenal and Trossard. Yeah, Trossard, yeah.
Ooh, okay, cool.
I mean, I'll take either of those results. Neil, it's been a short but sweet one. I appreciate it. It's great to review a very comfortable win. I want more of those in the last 14 games, all 14 of them if possible.
Oh, please.
Please, yeah. I know it's big games. A long way to go, but a positive weekend, and it's always great to discuss it. We'll try to be back, if not midweek, after the weekend with hopefully 2 more wins. Keep the faith. We're at Purely Arsenal FP on Twitter, Purely Arsenal on YouTube. Just subscribe to us there, like us there, we'll comment there, we'll put a podcast up there. We appreciate it. No adverts, and keep the faith up the Arsenal. Take care, Neil.